Hi, I'm Dan Leonard in the East.
And I'm George Whittam in the West.
And together we are
East-West
Audio Body Shop. Hey, if you had enough of the winter of 2014, well, this Monday night, I'm going to do something really weird. I'm going to go farther north, probably up to Toronto to the new Livingston Studios up there to see this great new facility. We'll do the show from there, and it's going to be our quarterly Audio Masters Roundtable. Who's going to be our guest, George?
Yes, this time guesting with us, we're going to have Stephen Sisk, and he is out of Vancouver, Mike Farrell out of LA, Cliff Zellman out of Texas, Joe Van Riper out of New Jersey, as well as Uncle Roy, also holding it down in New Jersey, and Juan Carlos Bagnell, also back on this side of the coast in Los Angeles.
We have got the country covered with Audio Masters. So join us. Maybe send us some audio. We can all give it a listen and say, hey, how has it sounded? That's this Monday night, 9 o'clock in the East.
And 6 o'clock in the West.
And join us in the chat room, and we'll have a great time. We'll see you there.
He's the home voiceover studio engineer to the stars in Los Angeles, California. A Virginia Tech grad whose knowledge of the latest recording gear is second to none. He's a voice actor and the home studio master, hailing from Buffalo, New York. His home studio skills and knowledge of voiceover recording is unmatched. When Dan and George talk shop, people listen, and the talk continues tonight. Welcome to East-West Audio Body Shop. And now, live from his high-tech facility in Santa Monica and his penthouse studio in Buffalo, here are George Whittam and Dan Leonard.
Good evening.
And I'm George Whittam in the West.
And together we are
East-West Audio Body Shop.
Yes. We have ourselves a live audience tonight, actually. Because, you know, we're in the Livingston Studios. Here, Pat, put your face in the picture there for a second. There we go.
Just to form, you rock.
All right.
Hey,
yes.
Pat.
And we have some lovely young people over here. Just stick your heads in there for a second. This is the new Livingston Studio here.
Hello.
Okay. There's Jody.
Get in there.
There's Jody Krangle. All right.
Hey, Jody.
Hey,
Jody.
All righty. We're here in Toronto, but we're everywhere tonight. We're actually in the Livingston Studios in Toronto, Ontario. This is a beautiful new facility here. And you can see the booths back here in the engineering section. This is a great new training facility that we have in Toronto for all the voice actors there. And there's Elaine. Say hello, Elaine.
Hello, Elaine.
Okay.
Hello.
Elaine Singer. Maybe some of you know her.
Oh, Elaine
And,
Singer.
but tonight it's our quarterly Audio Masters Roundtable. And joining us from all across the fruited plain, I think we're all in the U.S. for this one, except for me. Joining us from New Jersey, we have Uncle Roy Yokelson. Say
Hey.
hello, Roy.
Hey there, Jody Krangle and everybody else, and Elaine.
Okay.
Welcome, my friend.
Hey.
Yeah.
Give us
What-
some
what
more
is- you
heat
have
on
there
your
in front
mic.
of
Can you
you,
give us more
Roy?
level?
You need more? You need more?
That's
hello,
good.
hello.
Beautiful.
Okay.
There you go.
Hey, Jody.
Hey, Roy.
Hey, Elaine.
All righty.
Hey,
Yeah. Joining us from Dallas, Texas, Cliff Zellman.
Hey, everybody.
Hey guys, Jody, I saw Pat, I saw Jody stick her head in there.
Yeah.
And Elaine, hey Elaine. Good, thank you.
Nice to see you.
And we got Steve Sisk.
Yes, finally.
Yay, Steve! Just in time.
Thank you.
Hailing from the other side of Canada.
Yep.
He's in Vancouver. That's right. He's in Vancouver.
As far away from Toronto as I can possibly get and still be on the continent.
The smart man.
And joining us also from New Jersey, Joe Van Ripper.
Yay!
Hi. I'm going by Van Riper tonight, but that's okay.
Riper.
Oh man, yeah, I'm like practically next door to Uncle Roy. So Roy, can you send me over something? I got nothing to eat here. You always got something.
I got snacks. How about some cashews? You ready?
All right.
Dan, did you turn down your mic a lot? Because you got pretty quiet.
Okay. Well, turn it up a little
He's
bit.
giving us.
Yeah.
He's giving us a
1, 2,
break.
3, 4.
1,
1, 2, 3, 4.
There we
1,
go.
2. That
Perfect.
better?
Perfect.
Oh, of course it's perfect. All right.
Sei gesund. I'm sorry, Dan.
Oh, Malamar.
Pass those around.
I brought enough for everybody.
You better have a really good arm. Okay.
Me and Joe are sharing.
Okay. Well, I have no idea what's going on out in the broadcast because I'm in a remote location, so I'm just going to trust that we're on the air. Right, George?
Well, the chat room is telling us that we are indeed on the air. Thank you, chat room.
Right.
Fabulous.
Okay, well, we're going to talk about home studio stuff tonight, and these guys know more than anybody on the face of the planet when it comes to home studios. And so if anybody has a question in the chat room, type it in there. But one of the things we're going to do tonight is we want to listen to a bunch of other people's home studios, and everybody's going to comment on what are the deficiencies in that particular studio. So do you have some of those racked up, George?
Yeah. I've got the samples here that you sent me. They're in the Dropbox, and I'm opening them
names,
up.
Please.
And I will keep it completely anonymous.
Anonymous.
And-
Were they foolish enough to slate?
Well, we didn't check. I didn't check them.
I edited
so
those off.
hopefully you did that.
All right, there's some interesting stuff with some of these files. A lot of them have to do with acoustical problems, but there's other little things. So it's almost like a quiz show. What's wrong with this audio?
We're ready.
All
Cool.
right, just buzz in when you know.
All right, I'm going to see if my computer can handle another task. So stand by here while I open these samples. They're opening one by one. Yes, they are opening up.
Good.
All opening
all
in
play at
different
the same
windows and twisted wave here. All right, so starting with the first. Let's see what you guys are going to hear when I play this back.
We'll find out.
Absolutely nothing.
Hey,
What is that for?
It's very clean.
Yeah, great noise floor.
I don't hear any problems.
This is the Introduction to Work, A Story of Experience by Louisa May Alcott. Louisa May Alcott is best known as the author of Little Women, an enormously popular novel for adolescent girls in the late 19th century. It has remained lively reading for a 20th century audience. Its first generation of readers assumed correctly that the characters and many of the events in the book were modeled on the author's childhood and domestic experiences. Her father, Bronson Alcott, was a philosopher and educator, but outside of his family and the transcendentalist circle of Alcott friends, contemporaries frequently identified him as the grandfather of the Little Women.
Okay.
All right, I
shut
think
that
that's
down.
enough to sample from.
Yeah. See, we're on the same page with all this stuff.
Well,
Let's
I'll
go
look
around
for
the
you to
room.
wave your arms next time. Cut!
Good. Yeah, that's enough of that. All right. Let's start. Steve Sisk, first off, welcome to the show. It's nice to have you with us. You're our first timer.
Nice to be here. Well, as far as I'm concerned, there's a little lack of depth from the room. The room tone isn't there. It's a little thin, and it could use a tiny bit of de-essing, just the smallest amount. Other than that, reads good.
All right. No comments on the talent. Strictly.
No, I meant qualitatively.
Oh, okay. All right. That works. Cliffy.
Well, what I'm hearing, obviously through Skype, I kind of have to use my imagination a little bit. I'm thinking that maybe the lack of the room tone is I'm hearing they're a little close to the microphone. Maybe back off about an inch or two to get a little bit more air movement and maybe a little more transparency. But overall, I'm considering the hundreds of audio demos that I get on a monthly basis, that sounded pretty good to me.
All right. Joe?
Well, the only complaint I had with it really was that it sounded like it was coming through Google Plus or something.
It had that Google Plus compression ratio, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the original.
No,
plan was just-
I didn't have any major complaints with it. Maybe it was kind of an anechoic chamber kind of thing, with the room. But my favorite way to do a room is to make it half soft, half hard, and make sure you never have two hard surfaces opposite each other. And if you do that, you get 99% of it licked. And it sounded to me like she could have used a couple extra hard surfaces in there, but that's all.
All right, Uncle Roy.
I agree with Steve on the de-essing front. It was those S's were pretty harsh for my taste, and I think part of the lack of room or whatever everybody's talking about with the room is I think there's a gate. It's not that I hear the gate, but I did hear one or two words a little too soft because I think the gate threshold isn't set right. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean. Explain that to some people. In 2 words or less.
Whenever you set any kind of outboard gear or a plug-in, the threshold is at what level does that device kick in? And if the threshold is too low with the noise gate or too high, it's going to cut off some of the words. It's not going to detect that the signal is present or loud enough to open the gate and let the floodgate open.
Let me ask you something, guys. I just changed my studio, my Google Hangout setting from.
Even though we can't see you.
You guys can't hear me either, huh?
I can hear you.
Okay.
I can hear you, but they can't.
I'm only hearing you on one side.
I'm hearing
George.
you on my left side.
Okay,
me too.
Yeah.
I'm not hearing you.
It's very nice, but it's only on the left side.
Correct.
Interesting. Okay, so I just switched from.
This is not a good sign when the main engineer cannot be heard.
Yeah, nobody can hear you but us. The group can't hear you.
All right, I switched
Dan
back
can't
to
hear
voice
you.
mode.
There you are, a little louder.
So I had switched it from voice to studio mode because I want you guys to hear it. And here's the thing:
Oh, okay.
we cannot evaluate
Totally
audio.
overtax your system.
This would be like evaluating audio over a telephone. Okay, that's what we're doing tonight.
Yeah.
So you guys cannot evaluate stuff on Noise Floor because Google Hangouts has compansion like crazy. So it's noise gating the crap out of it. I'm looking at the waveform and it is not gated. Trust me. There's plenty of noise floor in this recording. So you're not going to be able to judge it for noise floor. What you will be able to judge it for, is just overall acoustical properties, maybe EQ, like, de-essing and stuff. You might be able to get a judge of that. But as for noise floor, Hangouts is gating the crap out of it. So I was going to put it in studio mode and see what you guys hear on studio mode. But apparently Dan doesn't hear me at all. And you guys hear everything in one channel.
Everybody now.
No, when I switched Google to studio mode, Dan doesn't hear me anymore.
That's right.
That's the problem. But if I can play back on studio mode, you guys will hear me at full bandwidth, like Opus quality, IPDTL quality. So let's just try that experiment. Dan, you tell me if you do or do not hear anything when I do this.
Okay, go for it.
Fingers crossed.
To Work, A Story of Experience by Louisa May Alcott. Louisa May Alcott is best known as the author of Little Women, an enormously popular novel for adolescent girls in the late 19th century.
Now, did anybody hear that?
I did.
Yes. Yeah, I did. And I'm hearing a little RF now.
Now, Dan, you did not hear that, right?
'Cause I know it's on all of these. I just can't remember which one was
Dan,
which.
you did not hear that, right?
I did not hear that.
All right. I have no idea why you're the only one that can't hear what I'm playing back.
I'm far away in Canada.
Steve, could you?
I wasn't putting Canada down.
Steve, could you hear it?
Far away.
I could.
Get through
I
custom.
could hear it.
But you guys are all hearing that in one ear.
Yeah, it's coming through left channel.
Gotcha. Okay. So
All right,
whatever's
so let's
going
not
on
do
at Dan's end, he's not hearing one channel for some reason. Anyway, so that experiment was
Everybody's
only
enjoying the show.
that experiment was only partially useful. But you guys could hear more detail though that time, right?
Yes.
Right. There were a lot of S's.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well,
let's go to the next cut.
We'll go to the next one. Do you want my opinion since I'm the only one that actually can hear the whole thing in actual quality?
Go for it.
Yeah, I would agree with the plosives. She's slightly too close to the mic, so she's crowding, a little bit of popping. And again, it is very dead. Although I have to say that in really small rooms, it's very difficult to get any liveness that actually is pleasing. Yeah. But and it sounds like she's probably in like a closet or something to me. But it's really overall, it's very good. There's some very minor improvements, and she'd be right in there.
Yeah.
All right, next one.
Very listenable.
Cool. All right, I'm going to play some of this in voice mode, and then I'm going to switch to studio mode. So you're going to hear the audio quality shift midway, but you'll get to hear more out of it when I do that. Okay. Next sample.
Full. The house was full. Jesus was in the house, teaching and healing, and everyone wanted to see him. Some men had a friend who could not walk. They believed that Jesus could heal him, so they carried him to the house on a mat. Because the house was so full, they couldn't get in. So they carried their friend up the steps to the flat roof and started tearing up the tiles. They opened up a hole in the roof. Everyone in the house looked up, amazed. Then they lowered their friend into the middle of the crowd. They thought Jesus would heal their friend. Instead, Jesus said to him, "Your sins are forgiven."
Okay, guys.
All right, everybody hear that one?
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's start with Uncle Roy this time.
Well, when you switch to studio mode, there was a lot of hiss, I thought.
Yeah.
And I guess a little more noise floor besides the hiss, maybe room. Hard to tell without the studio mode.
Right.
It just seemed noisy recording.
Yeah. Joe?
Yeah, I would agree. I heard quite a bit of hiss. I thought I heard a little roominess in places, not all the time, but it was almost as if he would get a little bit off mic or out of the sweet spot, and then you started hearing a wall or a window or something. And I thought I caught a little bit of buzz also, but I'm beginning to think maybe that's in the little computer monitors I'm using here.
And Dan's eyeballs are large and not moving, so I'm going to assume he's no longer listening.
I'm here.
Oh, there he is. My opinion is that, yeah, it sounded like almost as though he was using a microphone built into a computer. That's how bad it sounded from this end. It was very thin, distant, a lot of background noise and, artifacts and hissing and just weirdness. It just sounds like a Windows laptop microphone to me. Is what he's recording through. If that's not what he's using, then he just sounds like he may be way off mic, and he just had to gain the heck out of it to get a decent level, which brought the noise floor way up.
Yep. Dave?
Well, I agree with all of that. I also hear that he may be just a little too physically dynamic in front of the microphone. I know another performer whose head jiggles about like a bobblehead while he's recording. But he's so on the mic, and it's a great mic, so it can handle it. But this guy sounds like he's moving all around while he's talking, and he's going off mic, on mic, off mic, on mic. And he just needs to stand still.
The mic technique is pretty important with a lot of stuff. A lot of people aren't using, they're not in front of the mic. They're perhaps using, I got an Epigee mic here, so it's going to be real easy to say Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers and pop the heck out of it. We need to really, people really need to understand mic technique. And so that's an important one.
Mm-hmm.
Next one?
Everybody want, let's
Anybody
go
else
to the
have
next
anything
one.
new to add? Probably not.
Yeah.
All right. I'll do the same exact process again. I'll play some of it in voice mode. I'll switch to studio mode for a short time so the panelists can hear it, and then we'll go back to voice mode again. So here we go.
Zavers by Google is the smart and effective way to win new customers and to keep your existing customers coming back and spending more. So let's get started. visit us at google.com/Zavers. Zavers by Google is the smart and effective way to win new customers and to keep your existing customers coming back and spending more. So let's get started. Visit us at google.com/Zavers. Zavers by Google is the smart and effective way to win new customers and to keep your existing customers coming back and spending more. So let's get started. Visit us at google.com/Zavers.
All right. That one looped a few times because it was only 12 seconds long, but I'll start right off since I'm talking. It's very good, but I hear a lot of artifacts from MP3, which I know you guys are going to have a hard time hearing over Hangouts, but there's definitely that telltale MP3 obliteration or noise reduction filtering or something, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Steve?
Again, I'm falling back on de-essing because that was... She has an S that could slice through, through flesh. It's a fabulous sounding read, with the exception of that. She does have that artifacted compression going on, but I think that's just due to the piece of equipment that we're using. So.
I heard it too.
I want to jump in and say that when you switch to studio mode, I heard the room. I heard the slap of the room.
Yeah.
Besides the ton of S's de-essing that's needed there.
Yeah. I picked some really good quality stuff here so you guys can hear some different things. I know what's on these. I just can't hear them as well. I'm trying to remember which one is which. Cliff?
Well, judging by what I'm hearing, through the Google Hangout, it sounded a little thin to me. It also sounded like there were some spikes going on. And maybe a little proper use of some compression might help. Although improper compression can bring out the S's more if she has a real slow attack. But it sounded to me that there were certain places that were much hotter when in fact she wasn't really reading, so I don't know if she was getting closer to the microphone, further away, but I think a nice 4-to-1, -12 threshold compression would be nice. Medium attack would kind of help it out, smooth it out a little bit.
Yeah, George, you're looking at the waveform on that. What do you see? It was hot, wasn't it?
It definitely correlates with what you're saying. It starts out with the levels peaking around minus... I don't have my shortcut set up for audio analysis, but I have, if I look at the first 3 seconds, it peaks at -4, but then the next 3 or 4 seconds peaks at only -11.
Yeah.
So there is a big drop in level, and it might just be performance stuff. I know a lot of younger voice talent, or newer voice talent, I should say, have a hard time delivering even levels throughout an entire read. Their levels tend to go up and then down and up and down. Mm-hmm. So that might be what's going on here. Obviously, compression is a huge crutch, a huge help in a situation like that.
Okay. Yeah, I think it could smooth her out quite a bit.
Yep.
Yeah, that was a very hot read. That's why I threw that one in there.
It was hot. Yeah, it was hot, but it was thin, like the microphone, or the microphone was either damaged or something with placement was really wrong. And then, some artifacts. That had an interesting mixture of problems.
Yeah, it really did. That's why I picked that one.
It wasn't overall terrible. It just had a lot of little things that could be fixed.
Yeah.
Should we do two more, or should we do a break first?
We'll do one more, and then we'll do a break.
All right, we'll do one more, and then we'll do a break. So, okay, this is our fourth one in our experiment here. Here we go.
Hello, and welcome to Silverlock, the most advanced password manager and digital wallet. Let's unlock the database to get started. First, I'll click the plus button to add a new item. Silverlock will display a list of templates that you can choose from. For this example, I'm going to select the website template.
And now studio mode.
Hello, and welcome to Silverlock, the most advanced password manager and digital wallet. Let's unlock the database to get started. First, I'll click the plus button to add a new item. Silverlock will display a list of templates that you can choose from. For this example, I'm going to select the website template.
Okay. All right, we're back. We're back to voice mode again.
Okay, good.
Whomever wants to start.
Well, I can't say I've ever heard a voiceover recorded on a piezo microphone before.
I was going to say it's probably done on a headphone mic.
Yeah, there's really nothing below 600 hertz on that.
Oh yeah, very thin.
Yeah.
And it's a shame because what a great voice, huh?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Large
just
capsule
bad mic.
diaphragm.
Bad mic again. Yeah.
Bad mic.
Damaged, or just one of your Logitech gaming headsets or Skype type microphones.
Yeah, I heard a lot of artifacts going on around 3, 5, 8K. But what a shame too, And maybe it's not a bad mic. Maybe it's just the wrong mic. Because wow, what a voice! I really got some neat wideband things going on, but that mic just sure didn't capture it.
Go ahead.
I also heard room. Besides that, but
this is also gated, by the way. I'm looking at the waveform, and there's 0 room tone. Interestingly enough.
Wow.
All right.
Yeah, it's amazing what people do to their audio. George and I hear this stuff every day, and don't screw with it.
The thing is, if you have noise floor or if you have room sound, and then you gate it, while you're talking, you hear the room, and then you hear the room go away. So that's not really helping. That's not cleaning up your sound.
And I think another challenge for people is that when they try to use a gate or set their own noise gate, or whatever the case may be, they can't differentiate between the noise floor in the recording and the noise floor in their room when they're listening to it back. So on your studio monitors, it may sound just fine. But then you might put on headphones or in-ear monitors, and all of a sudden you hear that noise floor coming and going. So you got to be careful with that. Genres of recording, different genres have different tolerance for that, right? Cliff, in the world of car spots, is it really, noise floor, you compress and you gate, right? That's pretty normal, right?
Yeah. Yep.
But in an audiobook, you wouldn't use a gate like that.
There are so many band-aids, audio band-aids in automotive, that...
and then you're going to put a big music track over it, so you're not going to hear anything coming and going.
Right.
Yeah.
Steve?
Go ahead, Steve.
No, with this spot, one thing that was brought up, and it's something that too much talent doesn't pay attention to, is getting the right mic for them. They don't bother to, they just look at, it's a TLM 103, it's a Neumann, I have to have that one. And it may be exactly the wrong mic for them.
Yeah.
And just trying to find the right mic that has the right tone that works with your voice is so important.
Right.
So,
that's true, but this is the wrong mic for anybody.
That's true.
But you're 100% right.
I find that when it comes to choosing mics for at least a new talent, there are some kind of baseline mics that we just kind of know work for most people that I will tend to recommend. And then once they've realized the limitation of that microphone, then I say, let's explore your microphone. I tend to go that way.
All righty. Well, that was fun. Let's take a break. We'll come back, and if you've got any questions, throw them into the chat room. And of course, we actually have a live audience, so we can all applaud. And we'll be right back here on East West Audio Body Shop, so don't go away.
VO Studio Tech. Recording made simple.
Hi, I'm Peter McHugh.
This is Jim Tasker from Los Angeles, California.
Hi, this is Bill Ratner in Los Angeles.
Hi, this is Scott Rummel here in Yorba Linda, California.
Hi, my name is Rick Wasserman.
Hi, this is Tom Kane.
Hi, my name is Vanessa Marshall.
Hi, my name is Zurich.
Hi, I'm Mary McKittrick.
Randy Thomas chiming in.
Hi, this is Joe Szymanski.
Hey, this is Rick Robles.
Hi, my name is John Patrick Armstrong.
I was turned on to George by none other than Don LaFontaine, who always swore by his health.
George is absolutely awesome.
ISDN, Source Connect, Phone Patch, FTP, you name it, George has set it up.
It's really the best thing I've ever done for myself. I feel free, safe, fearless, like anything is possible in here.
Unless you like to look for
for opportunities to waste time? Call George.
And he did all of that long distance over the phone and the internet.
I'm very happy with George, and I cherish him.
Thanks, George. You make it easy.
And now, back to East West Audio Body Shop, where every week it's Apollo 13.
All right, we're back. Dan Leonard here with you in Toronto.
Dan Starman.
Thank you very much. Everybody else all over the place. George, we can't see George tonight just for some computer limitation, but we can hear his dulcet tones, and that's the most important thing. I think, do we have one more file that we wanted to go through, and then we've got a couple of questions.
Sure.
There's a couple of topics we wanted to cover.
Let's plow through this last one.
Okay.
Sheila Robinson for Capture, Captivate. Your child's life is the most important story you have to tell. A series of moments, simple and fleeting, but totally captivating. We find the moments that matter to you and make them extraordinary. The stories of peace and chaos, of first and last, of celebrations and bittersweet farewells. We tell the exhilarating roller coaster that is the story.
All right, let me go back to...
Little thin, eh?
Wow.
We had a slate on that one, but that's okay. Yeah, levels of overall, I think only peaked around -12 on that. So that's one issue.
Yeah. Right. Sounded like they had a blanket over the microphone.
Yeah, I was going to say
the microphone was in another zip code.
Or it was a condenser microphone and they were talking into the wrong end.
Yeah,
that happens.
Because although you said it was thin, it also lacked presence.
There was no presence.
Yeah.
Probably nothing over what, 3K, George? I mean, if you put that on a scope,
probably
rolls off.
Yeah.
It was lacking in mid-range. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a combination of bad mic, maybe bad mic technique or placement, and just overall low levels, not recording at a good, nice hot level at all.
Yeah, no, clearly that one was really low. That's why I threw that one in there.
Mm-hmm.
You can immediately tell that it was way too low.
Okay.
Dave?
No, I'm absolutely in agreement. It's absolutely sort of important that mic technique is there, and unfortunately it sounds like it's either a bad mic or bad technique. To get levels that low, either that or she's got the gain turned so far down on her board that she's lucky that she got anything recorded.
Right.
So,
yeah, that was a fun waveform to look at. Joe, last thoughts on that one?
I'd be interested in seeing that one.
Same as the first one. That was just like the mic wasn't there. She mailed it in or something. Yeah, there's you got to set those levels. I mean, that's just basics. Set the levels. Make sure you know how to use the mic, whatever mic you've got, whether it's the right one or not. You still have to know how to use it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to save all of these. I'm going to give them anonymous names, just sample 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'll put them in a folder on Dropbox, and I'll share that link with everybody that wants to download it and listen to them later, just for educational purposes.
Yes, give those a listen. So you can.
You know me, I'll download them, fix them all up, and put them back in there. Everybody will be on a 103 or an 87. Can't help it.
Just don't forget to send them all the bill.
I'll still be playing with these at 1 a.m.
All righty, well let's move on here, because there's a topic I wanted to cover with everybody, because we've been talking about it just about every week. Dealing with the ISDN alternatives, and I wanted to just get everybody's thoughts on this. I mean, there's a lot of thought within the community that ISDN is going to go away eventually.
Hello, it has gone away for me.
Well, you're in Jersey, so it's gone.
I'm in Jersey, and I made the mistake. I had to move here a couple of months ago.
Sorry, Joe.
And as soon as I left 50 miles north of here. As soon as I closed down my ISDN lines there, I moved here, tried to get new lines. So
what are you going to do?
Well, what I am doing, I've got one fairly good national account that's been with me for a long time, and they have tolerated a lot of things in the past, and they're tolerating Source Connect right now. And I'm trying to get them interested in IPDTL because that's my my preferred go-to, I think. I haven't had a lot of experience with it yet, but what I have had has been pretty impressive.
Excellent. Roy? You still have ISDN contact there?
I had it installed here once at one time for a few months. Then I realized my business just wasn't in need of that, and the prices were going up, and I've heard $400 a month just for the lines, not even if they're in use. At least in this neighborhood. And the problem is Verizon or AT&T is not supporting copper anymore. Now, I don't understand technically why you couldn't have ISDN on another delivery system other than copper. That just seems antiquated to me. George would probably have a better handle on that. You mean you wouldn't have ISDN over fiber optics?
It's the whole infrastructure for ISDN to make it do what it does. It's called a switched network.
Yeah.
And it's all built on it's built on an old antiquated system. It's built on old equipment. And is there a way they could implement it again on fiber optic, which is what all the new phone systems are running on? Probably, but there's absolutely seems to be zero motivation to do so.
And the hardware can be expensive. And
there is a way to do it. It's called PRI. So I don't want to get too technical on this one topic, but
that gets real expensive.
You can order PRI, which gives you ISDN and like 23 channels of voice or 23 dial tones. I don't know what it is. It's basically what major offices will order when they want to have a whole bunch of phone lines. And it comes over what's called this PRI. So there is a way to get it. But, a mere mortal voice talent, they're never going to justify that.
Well, Dave Emmer did something with a client of his where he got Verizon to overlay the PRI lines on Centrex.
Yep.
Which is a similar sort of network system, but it's still in existence, and they haven't given up on it.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure about the details of that, exactly how that was done, but apparently it was a sort of a smoke and mirrors kind of thing.
If I know Dave, and I know Dave pretty well, but I know that he'd be holding those details close to his vest because he would prefer for you to come to him. And I know who the client is because he's my client. But it did work. It does work, and that is a workaround. But it doesn't work in all markets because we're right here in LA, and I have clients in the Manhattan Beach area. So South Bay, that's areas south of the airport, of the LAX airport. And Verizon is telling people, like one of my clients, Jim Tasker, was told for 3 months, sorry, you can't get ISDN here. And it wasn't because the infrastructure wasn't there. It's just that in the computer, somebody checked a little box or unchecked a box that said in these neighborhoods, ISDN is no longer available because they are a FiOS-only footprint or something. So it didn't matter that the infrastructure was there. It was just a box was checked. And so whenever you went in saying, I want ISDN, the computer would spit back, not at your address, sorry. And a little threat of a lawsuit later, he has ISDN now. Wow, what do you know?
Well, unfortunately, in the Northeast, they're not issuing any new circuits, even though the infrastructure is there.
Crazy.
Wow.
Well, no, Verizon doesn't want to be in the copper wire business. They want to be all wireless, and they want to sell off the copper wire business to private enterprise or whoever will take it. So, they're just allowing it to sort of dwindle off.
Well, I mean, I've heard, I've been listening a lot about the discussion about Comcast buying Time Warner and all that. And we were talking about competition and who is competition for them. And, FiOS isn't being built out anymore. That's the double-edged sword of this whole thing. They're saying you can't get ISDN because there's no copper, because we're using FiOS. And at the same time, they stopped building out the FiOS grid completely a year or so ago.
Yeah.
And the reason is because it was costing about $5,000 per household. And do the math how long it would take for them to make that money back. So
take another bite there, Roy.
Okay. I turn it up. You guys getting hungry?
Share it with the class.
Right?
Not quite yet. Let's continue on with this. Steve, what's it like out there in Vancouver?
Vancouver, it's really hit and miss. If you've got a neighborhood that has ISDN in it, you've got a better than average shot of getting the telco to actually install the line into your house. However, if you're near a neighborhood that has it, they're not going to wire it to you. I had a studio just a few blocks away from here, and we put in the application to have ISDN installed, and the closest thing we could come up to was some kind of wireless fix that they offered us, which was to run copper to the nearest pole, and then they would wirelessly shoot it across the harbor to a receiver that was copper wired in. And it was going to cost us a fortune to do it.
I think I saw that on Green Acres.
You gotta stand on the pole there and
exactly
talk into a hammer, I think.
So yeah.
What about with you, Cliff?
Well, I haven't really done any investigation past ISDN because as of a week and a half ago, I didn't really have a system that could install the newest stuff, but that I was using. I've got other systems that are up to date, but my Radio Vision stuff is kind of, I wouldn't say antiquated, but it worked great until it got to the point of I finally had to update. So now that I've got all the new stuff going and the new operating systems and everything, I'm going to jump in, ask me again in a month, and I'll be an expert.
Okay.
But right now, I'm still ISDN guy.
Okay. So the question really is, are these alternatives viable? And should some studios, should they start accepting this? Although it's my firm belief that the opportunity here isn't for lots of people to start working for NBC, because NBC is going to go to this because they're not going to do it anytime soon. But there's lots of opportunity using some of these alternatives to work with some of the smaller producers and other video production companies to totally expand their talent pool. Any thoughts on that, anybody?
Yeah, I've definitely got some thoughts on that, because I work with a number of small independent studios around the country that, and I've been working with them for, in some cases, 20, 25 years. And they do everything by remote. At one time, I had to travel to these studios back before ISDN. Since ISDN, that's all they were using. Now, these studios, I've found, are starting to accept Source Connect. In fact, they've embraced it thoroughly, and they're looking at IPDTL. Some of them are actually using that as well, and it's because they see ISDN going away. They have talent scattered all over the planet, and one by one, the talent is dropping off the ISDN grid because it's becoming less and less supported. And they see the handwriting on the wall, so the studios are accepting it, the smaller ones, and this is going to populate to the larger studios eventually too. ISDN is on its way out. It may not go for years and years yet, but it started to move already, and people are starting to react already, both the studios and the talent, because it's happening. It's happening now, and something has to be done now. If they're ever going to get the bugs worked out in time to really have something that will be viable when ISDN does completely go away.
Hey, George, what do you think about some of the bugs some of these things have? Is it any worse than ISDN?
No, I mean, we were testing IPDTL out today, as well as Source Connect now, two competing systems using the same, basically, backend, which is called Opus. And they're both very, very low latency. I mean, meaning that there's the delay when you say something and how long it takes for them to respond is really low. I mean, it's wonderful. It's lower than a typical cell phone call. So it's got some huge advantages. Is it flawless? No, it's not flawless. It's the internet. It's in audio over an internet connection. Things do happen, but when they happen very, very quickly. You'll get like a little tiny spike, and it just keeps going. There's no major dropouts. There's no craziness that happens. It just keeps right on going. It's very smooth. Today it's happened. When I was doing a test, it happened maybe 3 times over 45 minutes. In fact, actually, I was doing that with Graham. And so there seems to be a lot of activity, though. What's going on your end, Dan?
I just ran out of the picture.
Well, Dan just left the room.
Okay.
I'm back.
I have found that the bigger studios, at least the ones up here, are clinging on to ISDN for dear life. They won't even talk Source Connect.
Yeah.
And they're not happy with just a Zephyr. They want an aptX box if you can.
Oh my God! Yeah.
They do not want to budge from this technology.
Well, it's not only the technology from the studio's point of view, on a profit point of view.
Yeah.
They charge, I don't know, $375, $500 an hour on top of the studio fee. So why would they want to give that up?
Yeah, that's a very good point, Roy. Mm-hmm. Very good point. Well, and did you guys catch that little interview that Dave Cavassier did with Cipriano?
Yes.
Joe Cip?
No.
It was interesting. I mean, it was Joe's experience with dealing with a loss of ISDN connectivity at his house. Because they literally cut the lines down the street in construction. And Joe is on out of town when it happened, interestingly enough. And so he was using a bridge where he normally bridges himself, and he was using a bridge through outofhere.com while his own bridge was down. But the point being that, he's even gone into Fox Networks with Rebecca from Source Elements, sat down with them, and kind of walked them through the process, and they're still hesitant. And it's mostly because nobody in the IT department feels comfortable with opening up their network to a production machine in a studio to allow the audio to come in and out of that computer. So it's not I don't even think anymore it's a matter of I don't think it sounds good enough or I think it's reliable enough. I think it's just they don't want to allow the network connectivity to a studio machine. So it's just crazy stuff that happens at the really biggest level, the highest level, or the biggest production facilities, the broadcast networks, that's getting in our way now. It's really not.
That's the same place the small studios I was working with were at 10 or 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And I was one of the first to jump on Source Connect just to have an alternative in case my ISDN went down.
As a backup, at the very least, as a backup.
And, I finally got them to try it once or twice, but it wasn't until about 4 years ago. Yeah, it's about 4 years ago. These same studios that said, I'll never give up my ISDN. It's got to be ISDN or nothing. Source Connect, hooey. That was 4 years ago. Now they're doing, we do Source Connect. What do you want to do?
Yeah.
It's the same studios,
Yeah.
So it's working its way up. The big studios have got to follow suit because the inevitable is coming.
Well, I mean, Joe said we're going to gang together some of our top talent and try to get them to all lobby the studios to start using Source Connect, because Joe was very adamant, or Joe was very clear to say that in 1994 he was one of the first ones, if not the first one, to introduce ISDN to the networks as a viable means of recording. So if anybody can do it, Joe's got the he has history. He has the history, he has the pool, he has the friends. Let's see if he has the motivation.
And the track record.
And the track record.
And the credibility, yeah, absolutely.
That's what it's going to take.
If you get the time and you're subscribed to Dave Gravassier's blog, go in there and listen to it because it's a great interview, and I think it probably should get retweeted around a little bit. Him saying it makes a lot of sense.
Should we do another break and then we'll come back and do the Q&A?
I think that's an excellent idea.
Sorry to catch you at the wrong moment there.
It's a Stella Artois.
All right.
Nice Danish beer, or is it?
I like that studio already.
Copenhagen. I'm sorry. That's Denmark. I know my social studies stuff. Anyway, all right. We've got questions coming from the audience and from the chat room. So stay tuned. We'll be right back here with our Audio Masters Roundtable here on East West Audio Body Shop.
Et voilà, this is East West Audio Body Shop with Dan Leonard in the East and George Whittam in the West. Merci. Et maintenant, back to the show.
All right. That's because we're in Canada. A bilingual nation.
It's a bilingual
Canadian
show.
Promo.
All righty. George, I can't see the chat room or anything or any of the documents. So do you have the questions in front of you?
I haven't seen any questions. Nobody has flown any questions into our docs file.
Okay. We got lots of people here, though, that have questions. So
Oh, good.
If anybody has a question, come on back here, and you can get on camera.
Yeah, is there any
Elaine
more
Singer,
stuff?
you can come sit in my lap.
15 seconds of
Ask
fame.
the question.
Jody's a singer.
Hi, Elaine.
Hi, Elaine.
I want to ask, the
More level, please.
the whatever they call them, the studios that are saying that they don't want to open up their ports to IPDTL. Can't you isolate one computer so that it's not endangering the rest of the network?
Yeah, it's not rocket surgery.
Transfer the audio.
It's not rocket surgery. All they have to do is have a dedicated PC or a Mac with its own internet connection, and it just sits in a rack, just like another box. It could be like it could be a rack-mounted PC sitting right underneath the Zephyr, and patched into the patch bay the same way, and just treat it like another codec box. It just happens to be a PC running IPDTL on Chrome. And who cares how the audio gets there and gets back to the edit bay? So it's a matter of thinking, changing, let me say this. Engineers at the bigger the studio or the bigger the network, the lazier these freaking engineers are. Okay. I'm saying it right here, right now.
Come on, don't sugarcoat it.
These guys, they don't want to put down their freaking coffee and think for 5 minutes about how to solve a problem. Okay, there I said it. Come after me, you guys.
Embrace the
You're
new
in
technology.
big trouble
folks.
now.
But it's so true, man. I run into it all the time. The second you make them think for a second how to do something different from their normal 9 to 5,
Not the way we do it around here, George.
they get their panties in a bunch, man, and it's just ridiculous. So that's the problem. It's the smaller, hungrier, lower budget, independent studios. They will try anything.
I love it.
They'll do anything to fulfill the client's needs, get the job done. They're
You wanna have
open-minded.
the latest technology too.
Yeah, they're
Still
flexible.
have the spark.
But man, at the network level, forget it. It's like pulling teeth. So that's what's going on. That's just what's going on. It's just the way it is.
Yep.
But it's a good point.
Yep. Next question.
I got another one.
All right, Elaine has another question. She just likes sitting in my lap, actually.
Graham here is saying that he's been playing with Source Connect now, and he has IPDTL. What is the comparison between the two? Is one better than the other? Are they pretty much the same?
Which one's paying us more money here?
Well, yeah. I mean, if anybody has a strong, I've been testing both of them regularly. I mean, so I can answer that. But from a sheer product, like from the end product, what can you get out of using the program? They're exactly the same. You'll get the same audio quality using either tool. You'll get the same latency, and it's because they both use the same codec, and that's that Opus that we've been talking about. They're both using Opus. So you're going to get the same audio quality. I think the difference really comes down to is with Source Connect, it's a company that's been around a while. They've stood the test of time. They've worked really hard to build a network of support. And, I think that's the big difference, really. I know I'm not disparaging IPDTL at all. Kevin over there has been awesome. He's helped anybody that's using it at this point has probably spoken to him, at one point, because he's just really been helpful. But at the end of the day, when you need to have support, you can't just have Kevin in the UK always available for you, and until he builds that network of support, it's going to be hard to endorse him over Source Connect's support. And then,
but I got to say, IPDTL does present a little more attractive a financial picture for the talent who needs something but doesn't have a lot of money to put into it. You can be up and running and doing something with IPDTL a lot cheaper than you can with Source Connect.
Well, you don't know what Source Connect now costs yet. I won't tell you because I'm not allowed, because
Should I tell him?
Signed an unofficial NDA of sorts. I promised I wouldn't tell, but it's going to be extremely competitively priced with IPDTL.
And the point is that, because it's going to be competitive with IPDTL, you can have both of them, and those are two tools you have in your toolkit, and it's still 10 times cheaper than ISDN.
Yeah. It will be very, very affordable. It'll be so affordable that everybody that is in voice acting that's going to work professionally will just sign up for it because it will be that affordable. It'll be like another monthly recurring bill that you pay for, just like you do for Dropbox and fill in the blank. All the little services that you pay little bits of money towards. That's what Source Connect now is.
When is that coming out?
I think they're announcing it officially at NAB. So that's in a couple of weeks. That's the first week of April.
Okay.
So it is inevitable. And, full disclosure, not everybody knows who I am, but I do work really closely with them. They consult with me, and, I've been a dealer for Source Connect. So, I'm not a completely neutral party on this, to be honest. But, I try to be extremely honest and balanced in my analysis on this stuff. And, they're both great tools. They're both going to work, and they're both going to give you the same end result. And, as Dan and I always say, competition is good for us the consumers. And these two systems competing with each other, it means that they're both going to be, they're only going to get better because of the competition. And they're going to have more and better features. They're going to be easier and easier to use. And I think one thing that's also really cool that none of us are really talking about yet is that with both of these services, you can create a guest account that will allow any other studio or talent to connect to you without owning it. So that's another barrier to entry problem that's going to be fixed.
Perfect.
The biggest barrier to entry problem really is for the studio, and I'll go back to my engineers are lazy bit. But they can't figure out how to record the audio coming in from IPDTL or Source Connect. And again, guys, I don't claim to be a genius here, but I do have recording background, and I know how to patch an output to an input. And that's really what has to be done to record IPDTL or Source Connect now. And eventually, Source Connect has this new thing called Source Nexus, which will allow you to take any audio source, be it Skype or IPDTL or you fill in the blank, and patch it into Adobe Pro Tools or Logic or anything that takes a plugin and turns it into a plugin. So that's another cool tool that's coming along here.
It's like what, Sunflower?
It's like Soundflower, except it's a plugin architecture. So imagine Soundflower, that's an AAX plugin for
AAX?
Pro Tools. Yeah. And so you can bring that audio in and back out of,
Let me throw this
ramble.
out there, because I think this is one of those other factors that comes into this whole equation is, are any of these technologies actually going to be necessary in the future? Because we're trying to teach people how easy it is to do home studio stuff. Most of the stuff is probably going to end up, and probably very quickly in the next 3 to 5 years, where people's home studios are going to be that good because we're teaching them so well, and the technology will improve, where this stuff will strictly be for inter-studio communication between the director and producer, and we're going to be recording it on our end in good home studios, properly acoustically treated, and so why are they going to need to have it fed into their place? Maybe for playback so they can hear it.
Yeah. It all also dovetails into the audio quality argument. We've been trying to achieve higher and higher bars of audio quality, but we all realize as well that the consumers don't hear the difference anymore.
That's true.
Why do you think the Super Audio CD and the DVD audio formats went the way of Betamax? They're gone because they just didn't sell because people can't hear it, the difference.
Go ahead.
Yeah, good is good. There's a good is good enough kind of thing going on. And it really does stem back to ISDN, because if ISDN's good enough, these other ones are, because it's using an old codec, MPEG Layer 2, which is 20-something years old. It's nothing at all modern by any stretch of the imagination, but it's been deemed good enough for a very, very long time. So what needs to be, the only way we're going to get better is by the technology improving, or just not recording recording locally and sending the files.
Right. Steve, we haven't heard from you for a few minutes. What do you have to think about that?
I mean, this discussion sort of all depends on the kind of project that you're recording as well. One of my clients down in LA, had to do animation sessions that were being recorded up in Vancouver. And he was flying up weekly to do the damn things, and we were trying to figure out a way of making things easier. We wanted to do ISDN, but the only thing they had was aptX, and we had a Zephyr. So we wound up having to do a bridge, and even then, through EDNet, we did an aptX to Zephyr bridge. And we wound up sort of being told after the first session that it's not good enough and that we got to get, into the studio. If you're looking at down the road, however, down there locally, he can record an animation session from his studio. So as long as the studios are going to be stuck in the mud about latency issues with Source Connect and with IPDTL, you're going to wind up having to go into the studio to do your recording, or you're going to have to fly to Vancouver.
I can think of worse things. It's a nice place to visit.
Part of the reason for ISDN was that the people recording at the other end could immediately get into post and do what they had to.
Yeah.
And what you recorded on your end was a backup in case there was a glitch or something that they hadn't heard along the way. So as long as audio quality was, whatever you want to call it, good enough or very good, it's just that they wanted to have it immediately and be able to work with it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's also the logistics of scheduling sessions. I've heard clients of mine that used to do a lot of phone patching and ISDN sessions saying they're doing a lot less of it because they've got repeat clients, and repeat clients can go, well, God, we save so much overhead on scheduling and coordinating and studio, hiring. If we just send the talent the script and trust them to read it the way they would read it, interpret it, and send in the file. Which
That's
my
life story.
Yeah. I mean, Cliff. I mean,
that's exactly what I do. I will direct somebody maybe 3, 4, 5 times when I introduce them to the company, and then after that, they're on their own. I mean, it gets the point. At least with my company, I don't really have time to. It doubles the amount of time to sit and direct somebody. But after 4 or 5 times, they know how I like the prices, the deliveries, the radio vision sound, and that's really where I'm at. 99.9% of the stuff that I get. My AEs send the scripts. I don't even know what's coming until I get the email.
Yeah, I mean, that means that essentially that Skype would be good enough to be doing what we're doing.
Yeah.
And just as long as you're able to communicate back and forth.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. They record at home. They've got quality audio, great studios, great environments. They send me the MP3, the WAV, whatever they're more comfortable with. Chop it up, and we're good to go. And then the turnaround is almost, instantaneous.
Yeah. There is no one.
I did one on my iPhone the other day with a company in London. They loved it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the bottom line is there's just no one size fits all.
No.
Every production has a different degree of production quality they demand.
Yep.
There's a different degree of budget. With commercials, you've got 15 clients that want to listen in on the session. They want to hear it the way it's going to sound when it's finished, in real time. So every situation is different. But it is interesting that at some of the higher levels of even, cable imaging or cable promo, I should say, that it's just self-directed work now.
Yeah. I agree. Anybody else have a question here or something that we want to cover? I mean, I think we've talked this one to death, but it just is not something that we can talk to death because it's a real fluid situation.
It's no one answer.
Yeah. Anybody got a question here?
And any other topics
in the chat room or anything?
Yeah, any other topics?
Graham, you got a question?
I do.
Talk.
So George was just at NAMM, right?
Yeah, a month ago. Yeah.
What did you see that was the most interesting thing that's brand new at NAMM that's going to change our lives this year?
Good question.
Well, I think Graham is leading into the fact that he's got himself a new toy, but
what you got, Graham?
Hi, Graham.
The new audio interface that is super awesome for a home studio that we're pretty enamored with is the Apollo made by Universal. Universal Audio Apollo.
Yes.
And
I know what I'm buying tomorrow.
The reason it's exciting, and this is where we argue about front-end processing versus post-processing, but Universal Audio Apollo has unbelievably good processing that can be inserted on the way in, like front-end. And it's all computer, it's all DSP, it's all virtual, and it's extremely, extremely low latency. So that means you can track through the compressor that you like, the EQ you like, whatever, and you're hearing those things in real time in your headphones the way it should be, the way it will sound on the recording. So, again, for those that are used to the twisted wave or, post audio processing, those, aren't really major advantages. But if you are doing Source Connect, IPDTL, ISDN, anything where the audio has to go out the other end to the studio and needs to sound final, it needs to, or at least already be kind of sweetened up. This is going to be awesome. And it's also a full-blown mixer. It does everything all in one box.
What's the price?
And well, the Apollo Duo, which is a rack mount unit, it's got 4 mic preamps and a lot of in and out.
Why would they call it a duo? If
it's based on, they have the quad and the duo, and it's based on how many CPUs the unit has, how many DSP channels. But for what we need, the basic duo will do it. And it's a pretty pricey box at around $2,000, and that's because it has a lot of analog to digital converters. It's 8 in, 8 out. It's like a Digi 003 on steroids
in a rack.
Yeah, but they make the new one. It's the Apollo Twin. Not to confuse you with the Duo.
Now you've got me confused.
And the Apollo Twin is a little desktop unit that looks a lot more like an Apogee Duet. It's that, monolithic slab of metal with a knob. It's got a lot more buttons and displays on it than an Apogee Duet, but that thing racks in around $699 or clocks in around $699. and you
Which is
still get
competitive
that.
with the Duet.
It's competitive with the Duet. You get the same You get that same DSP power. You get some plugins. And
is it
it's
USB
it's
or
Thunderbolt.
is it Firewire or what is it?
Is it Mac
Thunderbolt.
Oh,
Thunderbolt only. So, so it's only going to work on MacBook, any Mac now, because all the new Macs have Thunderbolt. So it does alienate the Windows world for now until Windows kind of gets really caught up on Thunderbolt. But yeah, it's super killer, amazing, incredible sound quality. A pretty cool little box, and you can just get the Duo, the little desktop thing. I'm sorry, the Twin. I'm getting it mixed up already.
Do that.
The Twin. Okay, so they have the Apollo Twin Solo. There's one called the Twin Solo. That's the one you want.
The
naming.
Solo.
The names
It's
are
like
so
Jumbo Shrimp.
confusing. The Twin Solo is what you want. That's their most basic unit for about $700. And it's got enough input and outputs to route audio out to, say, a phone patch and maybe Skype.
And does that have DSP too?
And it has DSP as well. So it's pretty close to now the one box solution for
Is it
a home VO.
Siamese twin or something?
Yeah. It's pretty much the one box solution for a home VO studio now, where we can eliminate having the Mackie mixer and, all the extra outboard gear. And the mic preamps built in are stellar. They are really, really good. So that's pretty exciting, and that's going to be fun to see people use. I mean, I saw the Manly Core, which is a really cool channel strip made by Manly. But man, that's a tough thing to argue for at $2,000+ in a home studio when you've got.
What difference is that gonna make?
Man, well, it's if you really, really want tubes, Graham's going to tell us soon when he thinks tubes help him out, because he's going to have the tube preamp on the front end of his Apollo soon. But actually, I'm looking forward to hearing an A/B test with tubes and without tubes. To be honest, I've not been a tube fan in home studios because they're more maintenance. They generally have a little more noise, and they take more engineering chops to use a tube properly. So I've not really been a big fan of them for home studios. So I'm curious to see what Graham's experiences are.
Yeah. All righty. Well, while we have a chance here, it's time to talk about one of our favorite sponsors. Guy who's been with us all along, Harlan Hogan and VoiceOverEssentials.com. We're all familiar with it, right, guys?
Yeah. This is my Harlan headphones right here.
He's got his Harlan Hogan headphones. Show him again there, Uncle Roy.
There they are.
All right. Great pair of headphones. He's got all sorts of great stuff there. And the great part about it is all you got to do is go over to voiceoveressentials.com and go through his catalog that's online of all the great stuff that he has. He's picked it out for you already, so you don't even have to worry about, am I getting the right thing? Mm-hmm. Generally, the stuff that he's got there is the right thing for you. And all you got to do is go on there, go online. Fabulous customer service, which we all know how important that is when you're in the retail business. And if you have a problem with it, send it back. He doesn't have a problem with taking it back, but he probably won't, because you're going to love it, especially his Signature Series stuff, like the Harlan Hogan Signature Series headphones and the Signature Series VO1A, which is a great microphone for anybody in voiceover. It really sort of covers the whole frequency range. It makes you sound pretty good.
Yeah, it's a nice starter mic. I mean, there's clients of mine that are using it as their full-time mic, really, to be honest. I mean, I only call it a starter mic because it's a starter mic price, but it really is a good sounding mic. And the porta booths are a really interesting problem solver for those that just don't have a space in their home they can dedicate to a studio full-time, or that really travel or road warriors and need to be able to move around the country a lot. The Porta Booth Plus is my favorite portable device by far, because it's reasonably priced. It's not too bulky. You can sneak it on the plane as a carry-on, and you can carry a lot of stuff in that bag too. You can stuff a lot of gear in there. So
these headphones are so comfy.
They are comfy headphones.
Hours and hours of editing without a problem.
Outstanding. So go on over to voiceoveressentials.com. Harlan Hogan will take care of you and make sure you get the best stuff.
Thanks, Harlan.
Totally rewriting all of it. Thank you, Harlan. All righty, gentlemen, we're getting kind of late here in the East, so why don't we have a quick go-round with everybody and give us your best thoughts on what people should do. What are you talking about, Roy? What is... Let's go around the room, and everybody has one last shot at everybody who's watching the show. Let's start with Steve Sisk.
And make sure you get a plug in, too, damn it. Plug yourself.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Plug yourself and tell us how you can help us out. Steve Sisk in Vancouver, you're on.
Well, I think I can't imagine that there's anything more that I can cover with this that we haven't already covered. If you're interested in getting into voiceover work, do yourself a favor and actually, you don't have to hire me, but hire yourself somebody who knows what they're doing to consult with you.
Not the guy who installs Muzak speakers.
Exactly. Find a guy who's a specialist and give him a call and at least have a conversation with him and get some ideas, because this stuff isn't just born out of nowhere, and a lot of the information's on the internet, but a lot of it's hard to understand. So, we're here.
And how do we find you on the web, man? What's your home on the internet?
Oh, actually, that's a good question, because I just got a new home on the internet.
Go for it.
I'm trying to find it now.
It rolls right off your tongue.
That's new.
It does.
I'm trying to find it.com.
Yeah, exactly.
Are you still using About Me, Steve?
Yes, I am. So
Steve, is it aboutme.com/Steve Sisk?
Yes.
Or Steven Sisk?
It's Steve Sisk.
George.
Or Steve. No, it's Steven Sisk. Sorry.
Got it.
With a PH.
With a PH. Hey, Steve.
Stephen. Cliff Zellman.
In closing, I guess, my motto is, learn as much as you possibly can, do your homework, surround yourself with the best people that you can, record constantly, and compare your audio to others. Send your audio to engineers, friendly engineers that'll help you out. But study. And twisting knobs is dangerous. I think we heard a couple of those examples earlier today. Knowing what you're doing, you're selling. This is a product that you're selling. So know the most that you can, study the most that you can, practice as much as you can, and record anything and everything as much as you can.
And how do we get a hold of you, Cliff, dude?
You can either get a hold of me through my meetup group at meetup.com/voiceover. Or I can always be found on Facebook /Cliff Zellman. Or you can reach me at my email address. Are you ready for this? KALIF as in Frank, U as in unicorn, at airmail.net. Kalifu@airmail.net.
This will all be in the show notes for you folks.
Yeah, excellent.
Yes. Jody says she loves the 220.
Oh, terrific. I've got one right here that I'm using. I just hooked it up. And, I tell you what, guys, dollar for dollar, it's a great microphone. And George was talking a little earlier. He said, for those starting off, start with a microphone and then you'll grow into it. And then you'll see what you need. This is a great microphone to start off at $90, man. You can't go wrong. And if
It wasn't $90 when I bought it.
It's $200 up here, Cliff.
$200 up here in Canada. We're not far from the border.
A bargain at twice the price.
Yes, come join me. Come join me in Buffalo and play me a visit. I can help you out with that.
How about Joe Van Riper?
Joe Van Riper, you're on.
All right. Everybody is giving good advice here. Cliff pointing out that you start with a cheap mic and grow into it, or with an inexpensive. There are good ones that don't cost a fortune. Same is true of everything else. The only place you should put your money when you're starting is in your room. in the space you're going to be working in, because I don't care. You could have the greatest microphone in the world and all the bells and electronic whistles on earth, but if you're sitting in a boiler factory, I don't care if you're Don LaFontaine come back to earth, you're not going to get any jobs. You got to have a quiet place to record, something that's not going to make you sound like you're sitting in a box, and then take it from there. Practice. Oh, and you get a hold of me at MRVO, MrVoiceover.com.
Mr. Voiceover. All right. Great. And he has a great blog, folks. You ought to read that. Always something interesting. Uncle Roy.
Well, everything Joe said is true, and Cliff also, but before you go investing in microphones and treatment, maybe you want to get some coaching. Maybe you want to make sure you can do voiceover before you spend all that money, because you can have a great sounding room and you can have a great sounding voice, but if you can't do anything with it, if you don't know what you're doing with it, if you're not connecting with the copy, find a good coach. And before you go making a demo, you better talk to Cliff or me, because we will tell you if you're ready to have your demo done.
Yeah. I think that's a whole subject we should probably be covering is talking about demos. I don't think we've really done much of that.
That's like my pet peeve, and that's where I'm coming from. And one other side note, the eyeball that was $200 a little while ago.
Yeah.
I think it's $120 now.
Whoa.
Yeah, I think the price just went down. I forget who's offering it, but I it's like a $98 discount.
People are saying it works. It actually is helpful device.
I set somebody up. The only place this poor woman could record was in her bathroom, and I put a Portabooth Plus with the eyeball inside, and that's how she's doing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Doesn't sound like a bathroom anymore.
All righty.
Except when you flush.
Well, I think that's everybody. Have I missed anybody?
No.
I can't see everybody. I'm a little limited.
Did George say something?
Let me say, and then Roy, you're at Antland.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm at antlandproductions.com. Antlandproductions.com, or email antlandprods, shamefully, at AOL.com.
And I will also tag on for Stephen that Stephen also is doing some tech. He's sort of like becoming one of my backups now for tech support. He's a very modest guy, but he's known the voiceover industry from the inside out for a very long time now. Used to work very personally with David Kay for many years as his manager. He really knows his stuff as well. That's why he's here tonight. But he's a great asset, and I appreciate having him available.
Thank you very much.
All righty. Any last thoughts, George?
No, I mean, thanks everybody for sticking around. Thanks for watching us make the sausage at the beginning of the show there. I hope that was entertaining for some of you. Those of you that tune in early to see how we get the show pulled off, especially on Hangout night. I hope you found that entertaining. And we'll hang out for a little bit here at the tail end as we wrap up. But I think that's going to do it. So, yeah, if you guys haven't subscribed by now, please do subscribe. I mean, we're I know we're a moving target here, but we have moved to a new YouTube channel, and we're trying to consolidate everything there. We've got all the old shows there on playlists. You can't miss a thing. But if you go to youtube.com/EWABS show, one word, got 2 S's in the middle, you will land on our new EWABS channel on YouTube, where everything is located. And please do subscribe there, and please do like our videos. If you don't do anything else, do click the little thumbs up on the videos that you like. And if you don't like one, click the thumbs down so we know you didn't like that show. But do click the thumbs up if you do it. That helps us be seen by a lot more people. We show up better in Google, and more of your friends will see us, because when you like things, it shows up in your Twitter feed and Facebook and all that. So please do thumbs up our videos if you like what you're seeing on the show.
Absolutely. Now, next week, I believe we have Liz Dinesher is going to be joining us, talking about...
Love Liz. HireLiz.com.
Yes.
That's right.
And that'll be interesting, and she's got all sorts of interesting ways of looking at our business and outside the box, and that'll be very interesting. So right now, I'd like to thank everybody here at the Livingston Studios here in Toronto, Ontario. Huge crowd here. This is great. Of course, we always want to thank our wives, mine, for letting me out of the house tonight for a night, and of course your wife George, and of course our producer Catherine Curridon, and all the folks that help us around, Anthony Gettig and Jason Lawson and Jack Ella.
Yeah, Ella was here at one point.
Is Ella in there somewhere?
I had to kick her out mid-show.
She's hanging outside the door.
Thank you for helping your daddy out. And, of course, thanks to all our guests tonight, our usual fabulous roundtable of Joe Van Riper and Uncle Roy, Cliff Zellman, Stephen Sisk joining us from Vancouver, and going to have all you guys back sometime. We're going to start doing some different types of... What?
Hey, Cliff.
Back in time to say goodbye.
Well, keep trying. Yeah, it's getting late here. So anyway, join us next Monday night, 9 o'clock in the East.
And 6 o'clock in the West.
And that's going to do it for us tonight. I'm Dan Leonard in the East.
And I'm George Woodham in the West.
And together, all of us are...
East West Audio Body Shop.
Have a great night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
3-part harmony.